Good morning everybody, welcome back to the channel. Determined to do this in one take today, which is ironic because this is actually take two, but we'll see how we go. Hope you've all been enjoying the delights that Storm Eunice has brought us. Doesn't sound very threatening, does it? But it's caused quite a lot of damage. I've got a bit to get through today. Couple of quick shout outs first. First one is to Joe. Joe used to run a channel called Joe Loves Movies. He used to post on the group fairly regularly. We hadn't seen him for a bit, and I spotted one of his videos on Facebook, not under the Joe Loves Movies title, but under something else. So I messaged him to ask him whether everything was okay, because we hadn't sort of seen him for a while. And apparently what YouTube were doing was taking his videos down for no apparent reason, and he got a bit disheartened with it. Took the channel down, and he started another one now, which is nothing to do with movies, but he's thinking of maybe getting back into it, but he says he's not really up for talking about movies at the moment. All I've got to say is, Joe, don't be disheartened, mate. This happened to me a couple of times when I had RetroMovieZone. Before it became a group, it was a page, and I used to get 6 months down the line and then they take the page down for no apparent reason, and somebody said to me, just start it up as a group and you'll have no problem, which I've done, and I've had no issues at all since I started doing like that. So please don't be disheartened, Joe. Start posting again, mate, because I used to enjoy your punchy little videos and your reviews, and they were a welcome addition to the group. So if you're out there sort of listening, give it another go, mate. We'd love to see you back. Second quick shout out is to Guy. Get well soon, mate. Eye operation. Can't think of anything worse. I hate anything to do with eyes, and the thought of an eye operation to me is just a complete nightmare. So get well soon, mate. Hope everything's okay. Talking of nightmares, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Wow. I was determined to watch it this week. It's premiered on Netflix, I think, on Friday, and it's all over Facebook at the moment, reviews of it. They're mixed. Some are saying it's brilliant, some are saying it's terrible. Jason enjoyed it. I believe Chris enjoyed it to a certain extent. You were absolutely right, Jason. I spent most of the evening like this, and with a cushion in front of my head. It was not, it was not a pretty sight. But the movie itself, I actually quite enjoyed it for what it was. It's a direct sequel to the original 1974. You've got to kind of forget all the ones that came in between. You've got the original girl that escaped from the last one, basically coming back to face him one more time. She's been trying to track him down for years. The rough sort of story is, a group of young sort of entrepreneurs have bought a ghost town, a kind of a ghost town, completely deserted, called Harlow, and they're going to redevelop it, put cafes in there, museums in there, and all this sort of thing. The one fly in the ointment is an old lady who lives in the town orphanage, still lives there. They try to turf her out. She has some kind of a heart attack, gets rushed to hospital and dies. And the one boy, well, you can't really call him a boy, sort of guy that still lives in the orphanage with her, has lived with her since she was a boy, is absolutely distraught and takes on the persona of Leatherface. The violence, you know what I'm going to say, the violence is just horrendous. I've heard a lot about a certain scene that two people seem to agree on that the movie could have done without. I would tend to agree with that. It was pretty drawn out and protracted, if I remember right. We're talking about the scene on the bus, I'm sure. Now, personally, I could just about live with that. What I couldn't cope with was the two very nasty arm breaks within 10 minutes of the movie starting, and there's a nasty leg break about 20 minutes after that. Now, I'd have happily swapped those two for the bus scene, but it did seem to go on a little bit long, and it was pretty horrendous. The whole thing was pretty horrendous. But as a sequel, it was okay. It wasn't bad at all. You've got to watch it right to the end. After the credits, there's a very short sort of post-credit sequence, which kind of leaves it open for a sequel. As I say, it's on Netflix. I believe it was made by Netflix. But yeah, I thought it was all right. I didn't think it was brilliant, but it absolutely passed 90 minutes very, very nicely with the pizza. There were a few cracking jump scares in there. It did bear a certain resemblance at one point to Halloween Kills, especially when you meet Sally Hardesty, the girl that survived the first one. She looks very, very much like Jamie Lee Curtis, very old. Sorry, Jamie Lee, very old, with sort of long silver hair. She's very, very similar to that. There was also a Jason Voorhees Friday the 13th moment right near the end, which I can't believe it caught me out, but it did. But yeah, highly recommended. If you get the chance to watch it, there are definitely worse ways to spend 90 minutes. In fact, it's not even that. I think it's about 78 minutes. It is quite short. But yeah, the violence is pretty up there, if you know what I mean. So, and it's very sort of, I'll tell you what it might reminded me of movie-wise, a movie called Hatchet. Do you remember Victor Crowley? Now the sort of the gore and the blood in that was sort of way over the top, and this kind of reminded me of that a little bit. So you got that sort of combined with Halloween Kills, a little bit of Friday the 13th in there. Yeah, well worth watching. So yeah, if you get the chance, it's on Netflix. So I'd definitely recommend that. Another movie I got to watch straight after was a movie called The Nightingale. It's an Australian movie. It's set in the, I believe, late 1800s, during the British occupation of Australia, specifically Tasmania. This is, where do I even start with it? It's a hard watch. This is a really, really brutal, horrible movie. It begins with a small garrison of soldiers and a young girl singing a song to them in a sort of a pub. She goes up to this sadistic captain's bedroom and ends up getting repeatedly raped. Goes home to her husband. Then the captain a little bit later comes round again and rapes her again in front of her husband, and then proceeds to kill her husband and their baby in one of the most graphically awful, horrible scenes I've ever watched. I'm lucky I got past that bit, and this is in the first 20 minutes. But I kind of stuck with it for the one reason that for all its faults, it's really well done, and I honestly thought it can't possibly get any worse than that, and thank God I was right. There's a lot more violence in it. It's one of the best sort of rape, murder, revenge thrillers I think I've ever seen, but it isn't one that I would care to revisit. As I say, it's really well done, really well acted. The photography is superb of sort of the Tasmanian jungle and stuff like that. It's absolutely beautifully done, but it is a really difficult film to watch. I've read a lot of reviews and a lot of people didn't get past that first sort of 20 minutes, and I'm not surprised. It is as brutal as hell. As I say, it isn't one that I would ever want to watch again, but I'm really glad that I've seen it, because it kept me riveted to the screen for what, 2 hours and 15 minutes, and that's rare for me. When I start a film at sort of 10 o'clock, I'm normally falling asleep by about 11, and I watch the rest of it the following day. But I did actually see this one through just to see whether it was going where I thought it was going. But yeah, it's highly recommended. Just be aware going in, this is not an easy ride at all. It's brutal beyond belief. It's rare that I've seen movies as nasty and mean-spirited as this one. But yeah, it's definitely recommended if you've got the stomach for it. But as I say, be aware going in, you're not in for an easy ride at all. And that's called The Nightingale. That's also on Netflix. Chris Hukin was on about this one, and he has pretty much the same opinion as me, that it's just brutal as hell but really good. So yeah, recommended if you've got a strong stomach. Right, what have I been buying this week? I'll flip through these quite quickly. Starting off with, I've been after this for ages. It has just been reissued. and I'm so glad I managed to get a copy of it. The soundtrack to Harold and Maude, one of the most beautiful independent movies I think I've ever seen. If you've not seen Harold and Maude, it's a cracking movie with an absolutely brilliant Cat Stevens soundtrack, so I'm really glad I finally got hold of that. It's a difficult thing to get hold of. You can get it on vinyl, but it costs an absolute bloody fortune. This I saw on Amazon. I was talking about Soldier Blue last week. I'm a sucker for sort of movie tie-in books, so I managed to get hold of this one for a couple of pounds. It's the original novel, I believe, upon which the movie was based. So before I embark on the movie, I'm going to have a read of this to see how it actually compares. There's that one. Another book, Blowing the Bloody Doors Off, Michael Caine. I'm currently listening to his Elephant and Castle biography, which I'm absolutely thoroughly enjoying, and I saw this for quite a cheap price, so I thought I'll get this and move into that one as soon as I've finished the one that I'm on. I saw this again during the week. I put a trailer to it on, and I thought I really want to watch that, so I ordered it. The Story of Film, A New Generation. I believe this is about independent cinema and world cinema, presented by Mark Cousins. So I really wanted to see that, so I managed to get that, and obviously I couldn't get that without getting the original Story of Film. I can't believe I've never seen this. It's a long thing. How long is it? Let's have a look. 915 minutes. That's got to be 12 hours. But as it says, it's the story of film, the history of movies. So I'm really looking forward to that. And obviously, I couldn't have that and not get the book that goes with it. So the book is absolutely massive. That's going to take some getting through, but that'll go very nicely with all of this. Right, before I go, bin it or keep it. This week, Legend of Tarzan. It stars Alexander Skarsgård, Margot Robbie, Christoph Waltz is in there, Jim Broadbent is in there. My personal favourite Tarzan movie is, and always has been, the Hugh Hudson 1984 movie, Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan. It's always been my favourite version of it. This is kind of similar, but it is much more of an action movie, action and adventure, rather than based on the original novel. The other thing I quite liked about this is the fact that they've set a lot of it during a certain historical time, and a lot of the characters in this, and I looked this up, are actually real people. So it had a certain sort of authenticity to it. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. But my thing is, I mean, this bin it or keep it. Am I going to watch it again? Probably not. More than likely not. But for a first time, I really enjoyed it. I think, I don't know what it is. It's older movies that I tend to repeat watch nowadays. Older movies that I've seen years ago. Your Close Encounters, Saturday Night Fever again. All of those kind of things. Godfather, movies from the 50s, 60s, 70s. It's very rare that I'll see a movie nowadays, a modern movie, and think, I can't wait to watch that again. It is so rare. In fact, I can't remember the last one that I saw that made me think, I'm going to have a look at that again in a few months. It's not happened. So as much as I did enjoy The Legend of Tarzan, it's not so much going in the bin, it's going to the charity shop where somebody else can get the same sort of enjoyment out of it that I did. Right, that's pretty much it for this week, folks. I'll be back next week with a Doctor Who update, so don't worry, Guy, it is coming. Just haven't had time to do one this morning, that's all. Plus, I want to finish the William Hartnell story, The Romans, before I do that one, so that's going to be probably next week. So, thanks for joining me, folks. If you've enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up and also subscribe, that'd be brilliant. And I'll be back next week with more prattle and nonsense. So, enjoy your Sunday, folks, and I will talk to you all again very soon. Take care. Ta-da.